Welcome to Kids Express.
Join us as we see kids express their love for Jesus
while developing their character.
on Kids Express!
Welcome to 3ABN Kids Express. Today we're going to meet a young lady who used to live in the United States and yet in the last year has moved to a different country and had to learn to be inclusive and making others feel welcomed herself. I'm Aunt Francine.
And I'm Riley. Can you guess where in the world today's guest comes from? Can you also identify what country this is? If you guess England, you're correct. Let's welcome Sage.
Hi, Sage.
Hi.
I'm so glad you're here.
I'm so glad to be here with you as well.
So tell us about England.
England is a really cool place. London is the capital, and it's in the United Kingdom, which consists of Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and England. And you can actually take a tunnel from England to France, and it's really fun.
Wow.
It's like 26 miles long.
I think they had it completed in 1994, I think, something like that. So yeah, that's pretty amazing. So it connects Europe with England. Yeah. So what's some other things about England?
So I have a rock here. It's found in a lot of the mountains. It's flintstone, and it's fun to see it like in the side of the cliffs. And it's like really exposed, and it's fun to take home.
Do you try skipping rocks by the ocean too?
Yeah, but these are pretty big and not flat. But,
Yeah, they're not flat.
That's cool.
How about your bus over here?
So this bus, you see them a lot in London and around any town in England, really. They're just the local buses. I take one that looks like this to school, and it's fun to ride on the top deck.
That's cool.
That's neat. Yeah, they call it a double decker.
Yeah, or just...
Did you have a question for her?
I wanted to ask, I know you used to go to a Christian school, but now you go to a public school. What's that like?
It's different because I'm always having to explain that I go to church to my friends. A few of them are Christian, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
That makes it interesting. So I know that we have dollars in the United States, and you have
Pounds, that's what they call it. So here, I think it looks really fun and pretty.
yeah, it is. It has
that
the
looks
queen
cool.
on
And it
there.
has all the different colors.
So what can you buy for a pound?
Not that much, like a packet of gum or like a candy bar or something, or drink.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you are sharing Jesus. What is it like since you are a Christian, and I'm sure that comes up in conversations, but tell us about how you share Jesus with maybe them and others.
I invite them to my church, or I talk about it. I invited my friend, and we made cupcakes for the local retirement home.
Oh, that's fun.
Sweet.
And so you made these cupcakes, and how were the people at the retirement village?
They were very happy.
Yeah. So you've had some friends coming?
Yeah, and it's been nice to see what they think of it, and I think my one friend in particular has found it fun.
Nice.
So being in another country, sometimes it's you run into different things, and you're already witnessing there in England, and inviting people to church. So how do you invite them to church, and what do you do at church once they're there with you?
My one friend, so I've asked her like if she wants to come to the youth group on like a Saturday night, and then maybe we can have a sleepover or something to make it not seem, I don't know, like overwhelming or something for her, so we can still have fun.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very beautiful that you can do that with your friends.
Yeah. So is there anything else that you share about Jesus, or anybody else that you often do? I know you've made cupcakes, you said. Anything else?
Yeah, so at school I try and talk about it, and I've had a few conversations with my friends, and they've been interested in what it's like, and yeah, so it's fun to share Jesus with them.
So if you had one character development that you wanted to build and do better, what would that be?
Maybe That's hard. Maybe being a better listener, potentially, like listening to people more, because I do that, but like, yeah, definitely listening more
And you said
to what people.
Yeah, and you said something about inclusivity or including other people, and like you inviting your friends. And I think that's part of listening, is that you were wanting other people to feel like they're part of something and invite them in. And that's kind of hard to do. So you were saying something about church and how you witnessed for your friends. But how did you even get to that point, like to even talk about God with your friends? How did you go about doing that?
I bring it up sometimes, and then definitely like bring it up often, and maybe they get interested, and then like inviting them, and they think about it, and they say yes, and they have fun, and then we can do it again.
So even by the things that you eat, or the things that you watch on TV, or maybe, I don't know, have you ever encountered somebody like that where something comes up in conversation that you wonder why you're different? Or maybe even the style of clothing? Can you give us an example of that?
Yeah, I think I've been watching a show before, and maybe I'm surprised at what they're watching, or maybe I'm like, I haven't seen this before, or maybe I'm like, have you seen this movie? And it often has a Christian element, and then they're like, no, I haven't. I'm like, oh, but that's such a classic. And they're like, oh, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. It's really special when you can invite your friends or other people to church and making them feel welcome. Now, what kind of things would you do to welcome somebody?
I would try to ask them if they wanted to come sit with us or with me and my friends and make them feel welcome, so that they weren't really nervous and sitting by themselves or anything, and they never were really able to make friends. Like I would want to try to make them feel like happy and welcome there.
And with you, Sage, did you actually go pick them up and take them to your church, or did they meet you at church?
Often I will pick up my friend. We live only a few miles apart, so yeah.
Yeah, and that's helpful. And what kind of things did you do to make your friend feel welcome? Can you be a little more specific on the kinds of things that you did?
Yeah, so I'll definitely invite her in. Her name is Ricky, and she will come, and I'll introduce her to people, and I'll ask her, if she wants a drink or something, or if she wants to sit with me, wherever she feels most comfortable, because I want her to have a good time.
Right. And welcoming people is a very big step in doing that, and making sure that they walk through the front door or the welcoming committee. Sometimes each church has a welcoming, so you want to be sure to welcome them in the church, and maybe they want to sign the guest book. So those are kind of things that you can make them feel. And maybe introducing them to the pastor or your youth teacher or your youth group. Those are all kind of big steps that sometimes we don't think about it and we take for granted. So when you see somebody new, even if you didn't go pick them up, you could still be introducing and trying to be that friend for somebody else and show compassion, because it's kind of scary. You know what it's like now that you've had to move to go to a new place and feel like, you don't know anybody, but the more you get to know them. And another thing that we can do is be positive, like encouraging them, like, oh, let's do this together. Or sometimes just listening to their names or what they like to do is something that's important. And I know that some churches, they give a small gift or card or something like that. So if you're having your friend coming for the first time, you might want to make something special, or even writing a card and saying, I'm so glad that you showed up.
I mean, I know if I was new, I think that would be very kind, and that would make me want to come again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just following up. And then you find out what your friend likes, right? What do you and your friend have in common?
We both like music. It's definitely fun. We can connect on that. And I often find that she enjoys the music at church, and people in the church always make her feel welcome and notice she's new and go up to her and they're like, hi, how are you? They introduce themselves if I don't introduce her to them.
That's very good. And that's very positive, because you're also helping her remember people's name as she comes back again. And you might be planting a seed, because it might be a seed for her, your friend, but it also could be a seed for her family. You never.
Yeah.
Yeah. because sometimes you'll see that maybe you're having a change, a positive change for her.
Because I know, like, sometimes you may never know what somebody's going through or what's going on at home, and so whatever you're doing, it could really impact them and their family as well.
Yeah. And you know, whenever we have somebody new coming in, like at school or at church, we all like compliments that are genuine. You know, giving a compliment. So what kind of compliment did you give your friend? Can you think of something that you might have done that first time at church?
What should I wear? And she's stressing over it, and then she gets to church, and I'm like, oh, you look nice, you know, like a genuine compliment.
Right. And I think that's positive because, you know, they might feel inadequate because they don't measure up to what everybody else is wearing or something. But giving a compliment like, hey, you did really well on this, or, you know, asking for advice and being that friend is really special. Yeah. Do you have any other comments or thoughts about that?
I think that's really beautiful how you're trying to bring her into your church and you're welcoming her and making sure that she feels welcome, and like you're complimenting her and introducing her to people. You're really impacting her, I bet.
I think it's time for our questions, and we like hearing questions from you as well. So what's our question today, Riley?
This question goes to you, Aunt Francine. Isabel from Quebec asks, can you explain the Trinity to me? It's confusing.
It's not only confusing to kids, it's also often confusing to adults. You know, there was a man supposedly in Ireland that said something about he would go around taking a shamrock, a little clover, and would go around talking about the Trinity in Ireland. And that was St. Patrick. We call St. Patrick, but we don't usually use saint. But anyway, he would go around talking about the clover because it has, you know how you have the 3 leaves, for example? And he was go around talking about God the Father and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. Now, they're all part of the Godhead. And so even though they are all part of the Godhead, they all have different responsibilities, right? And so you know that your family, for example, you might have the same last name as your parents, but you're all individual people, and that's the same way with the Trinity. So we have God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, and so that's the best way that I can kind of use that. So when you see a clover, think of the Godhead as far as the Trinity. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? So I know people celebrate St. Patrick's Day around here. Do they celebrate St. Patrick's Day in England?
I think so.
Yeah, probably. I know in Chicago they dye the rivers red, but they're green. Sorry, green. But yeah,
I've never been able to see it, but I heard it's really cool. I'd love to go
cool.
sometime.
But you know what? Wherever we are, we can share the love of Jesus, right? Yeah. And so whatever we do, I mean, you might not get something as complicated as the Trinity, but we can always share. And you know, we have these scones. Now you have some scones there too, don't you? Do you like these? Did you make them with your mom?
No, but I have made them and they're really good.
Right, and so we're going to try some of those things. But you know what? Wherever we are, we want to witness. So what's something that you learned? And you had a story that you wanted to share with everyone about Sage.
I know you were talking about how you welcomed your friends and how you're making her feel welcome and you're being kind. And I wanted to let you know that when I first came to Michigan, you were really welcoming, and I got to meet a few people because of you. And so when I went to school, I knew a few familiar faces, and so I wanted to thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's really special. When we have friends like that look out for us, that makes it really special, and that we are exemplifying who Christ is and showing the love of Jesus. And that's what we all want to do, don't we? So thanks for joining us on Kids Express.